I am very excited to share with you once again another amazing technique. This was an amazing achievement for me and how this changed my quality of life. I want to share with you how a voluntary action became part of my autonomic nerve system. After I received this new voice, this voice that you are witnessing right now, I realized that all the techniques that I practiced for many years and well trained and mastered all form part of my new sound production process. In the previous episodes, I shared with you my life-saving techniques of how to combat heartburn, acid regurgitation, and acid reflux, which changed again my life forever. If you have not watched those episodes, please do so, for you to be able to understand how it is possible for me to speak. This will make it easier to be able to comprehend that which surpasses all understanding of the miraculous. I am preparing you for what is to come. After I developed my fifth technique, my air swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique, my life was changed forever. For the first time after the operation, I had a counter solution to combat severe acid regurgitation and acid reflux. I could stop and prevent acid regurgitation and acid reflux. During those early stages of training myself to rapid response to any sign of acid regurgitation and acid reflux placed me under tremendous amount of stress. After I developed these techniques and the more advanced techniques, I was protected and brought peace upon my life. All the techniques require intense concentration, and I need to find a way to make my life easier. The ability to concentrate became an immense challenge. Concentrating for long periods of time became essential to continue my survival plan. The very moment that I would lose concentration, my tongue would relax and my larynx would drop down and forward. This action assists to pull the laryngopharynx open. The larynx would also pull the epiglottis away from my tongue. When the tongue relaxes, the uvula lifts from the tongue. The laryngopharynx now open and in the rest position. The result of this placed me back in danger of acid regurgitation and acid reflux. My feeding tube was again open. The moment that I lowered my head and upper body, the stomach content would run out into my oropharynx, into my mouth, my nasopharynx, and sometimes down my larynx into my lungs. These were devastating moments and difficult to recover from. I had to be very alert and ready to activate my muscles to stop or prevent events in process. I always had to be in an upright position, even when I was trying to sleep. I stayed in an upright sitting position. Any lowering of my position ended up disastrous. The more I practiced these techniques, the more confident I became. I could also hold these techniques in position for long periods of time, from virtually a few seconds to minutes to eventually hours. I spent most of my time practicing these techniques. This lifestyle became my normal way of life. I was continuously searching for more of that which God made available for me to find. Every technique is a mystery. The Lord puts out there mysteries for you to discover. Every time a mystery is revealed, another mystery becomes available for you to explore. After the operation, I had very little sleep. The first 72 hours after the operation, I did not sleep at all. I was too scared that I would die. Even months after the operation, I would pray to be able to sleep, and then begged not to sleep because of the acid reflux that was too severe. When I eventually did sleep, it was for minutes at a time. I was permanently tired from almost no sleep. Although sleep is essential for survival, it also became my enemy, as was acid reflux. I resist sleep, and the longer I could stay awake, I could respond to the refluxes a lot better. Although I had no protection against acid reflux, being conscious gave me a little more confidence. When I developed Technique 5, my air swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique, I had protection. I continued practice this technique because this was my only way for survival. I eventually trained myself not to sleep. I would enter into a very low state of sleep. I don't know how it works, but I stayed in a state of consciousness, but resting at the same time. I can't tell that it is a light sleep because I was still very conscious. The level of my consciousness allowed me to be aware of what was happening around me. I would hear everything, even my family talking, but I would not respond to it unless I came out of that state of sleep. I would wake up a little less tired. I was surviving a little better. For me to achieve this level of sleep, I had to physically instruct my brain not to enter into a deep sleep. The moment that happened, my protection was disarmed, and I was again at risk of acid regurgitation. For me to achieve these results, I have to be focused, disciplined, and willing to succeed, despite all the challenges and tremendous discomfort locked up in the process of discovery. I believe that you can achieve all things. How do you do that? One is to believe that within you have the potential to do it. And two It is to trust in your Creator. After many months of training, I lowered down to eventually 3 pillows for periods of time. On 1 November 2013, 1 year and 3 months after I developed these 2 techniques, 5 and 6, I decided to sleep for the duration of an entire night, still in that lower state of sleep on 3 pillows. Halfway through that night, still during the lower state of sleep, I lost concentration and I was overwhelmed, surprised with a severe acid reflux. Every cavity was filled with acid, including my nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, and lungs. This was one of those worst refluxes I experienced for a long time. I got out of bed and took all the necessary precautions and practiced all my techniques to eliminate the burning. After 2 hours, I was fine and ready to go back to sleep again. I was confronted with a decision to build up my pyramid and sit upright or go straight down to lay down on my 3 pillows again. I decided to lay down to sleep. I had to overcome that fear. I woke up 2-3 hours later without any burning. This was a major breakthrough and again changed my life forever. For the next period, I would be seated for the former part of the night and be lying down for the later part of the night. This was amazing. I was doing a lot better, sleeping for longer. I was still permanently tired and I needed to sleep normally again. During the early stages of training the muscles got tired very quickly and the muscle tension was uncomfortable. It came with great effort. At the later stages, the muscles were so well trained and the minimum muscle tension were applied to ensure less discomfort. I felt as it was normal to be in that position. That made my life more comfortable. For the next few months, my ability to survive an acid reflux multiplied. I felt a lot better and my confidence has increased. The fear of sleeping were a lot less because I was permanently protected with my closed laryngopharynx. Saliva is produced as a lubricant when swallowing. When the muscles are under tension, saliva is continually produced. I have to swallow at regular intervals to be able to get rid of all the build-up saliva. I managed to do that without being aware of the process of regular swallowing. After every swallow, I would automatically close my laryngopharynx to be protected from any acid regurgitation and acid reflux. To be continuously aware of my closed laryngopharynx gave me greater confidence to be able to control the next reflux. My laryngopharynx were flattened, closed very tight to overpower the power of a severe reflux. This exercise created and required to use a lot of energy and generated a lot of heat. I had to use water regularly to cool down the muscles and body of my tongue, uvula, epiglottis, and laryngopharynx. I believe that to train myself to stay in a conscious state of low sleep was vitally important. To train my brain to change a voluntary action into an involuntary action. To protect myself from acid regurgitation and acid reflux was my number one priority. I knew that sleep is also vital and that I deprived myself from the many good benefits that only sleep can provide. I have just shared with you how a voluntary action became part of my autonomic nerve system. You may think that what has this voluntary action became part of my autonomic nerve system got to do with my alternative speech production process? Well, a huge amount, vitally important. All these survival techniques that I learned over many years was God's ultimate plan to provide me a good quality of life and a new voice. These techniques form part of my greater testimony of how it is possible for me to speak without the use of vocal cords. I developed my technique based on my personal experience and knowledge. I have no approved medical background or any medical qualifications. I strongly recommend that you do not try this technique. This technique is very complicated and I would not want you to be hurt and receive any bodily harm. This is very complex and intensive exercise that require intense concentration. In my next video, I will share with you another great mystery. I'm going to share with you how a voluntary action became an even greater part of my autonomic nerve system. I'm going to go a little deeper. Does that mean that I don't have to think or plan or do any of these various techniques while I am conscious? Yes, even during sleep. I think that many of you are waiting to find out how that can be possible. I thank you for taking the time to watch this part of my testimony. I trust that you are a little more enlightened and that you will also follow the next part of my testimony that is coming soon. This is going to be super awesome, and I can't wait to share with you another supernatural experience. The Bible tells us in Mark 11:24, "Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." In this Gospel of Mark, Jesus were hungry, and they came to a fig tree that was not bearing any fruit, because the tree was not yet in season to bear fruit. In verse 14, in response, Jesus said to it, "Let no one eat fruit from you ever again." Now the next morning they passed the fig tree again, and Peter remembered and said, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree which you cursed has withered away." So Jesus answered and said to them, to his disciples that followed him everywhere. Have faith in God. For assuredly, I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore, may God bless you all. Till we meet again, and goodbye.